What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel, and today I'm gonna do a little short video on valve adjustment on a 400 EX. And just a disclaimer, I've never done this before, so what I'm doing may not be the best way to do it, or I may be missing some things, but I thought while I got this thing apart and before I put it back together, I'll go ahead and do one quick. So I've had issues with this thing. I know Hondas are known for being hard cold starters, but this thing, I have to turn it over, let it fire up, it'll shut itself off, and just keep repeating that process until it runs long enough to where I can put it in gear and run it around. And once it warms up, it's fine. And I was told that, I guess that has something to do with your valves being too tight. So I guess we'll go ahead and get the camera propped up here, and I'll go ahead and get everything disassembled and kind of give you guys a little idea as far as what to do if you want to do your own valve adjustments. So let's get started. Alright guys, to go ahead and get this started, I'm going to pull off the spark plug boot and go ahead and pull the plug out. And what I would recommend doing before pulling the spark plug itself out is taking some compressed air and just blowing all the junk out of there. Because I can see now that the previous owner said about riding on his farm, and there is a whole lot of crap in there that I don't want going down inside the cylinder. And then to pull the plug out, you're going to want an 18mm spark plug socket. I don't believe a regular 18mm socket will work, so I think the spark plug sockets kind of have a thinner wall to them. And I think they're also recessed down in there a little further to get the head of the plug up inside there. So you'll need one of these and some kind of extension. Now this here's an older plug. I haven't replaced it since I've owned it, and I ended up rejetting it for the Sparks exhaust, so I'm not quite sure what a good tip's supposed to look like, but to me this seems a little black. I'm going to do a little research and see what I need to find out, or throw a new spark plug in and see what it looks like. The next step is to pull these caps off, these engine caps. This one here is so you can rotate your crank to align it, and then inside here you'll be able to see a little line, or a T, I believe. I'm not quite sure, I don't remember now, I have to look, but that is how you align your top dead center. And I was told that you want it on the compression cycle. So I'm gonna, with the plug being pulled out, I'm not sure if I can feel the air being pushed up out. So that was my theory on pulling the spark plug. But we'll go and get these pulled out and see what we can find. Next, you're going to want to pull off your valve caps. I believe that's what they're called. I'm not sure what the technical name for them is, but I'm not sure what quite size they are, because my metric wrenches, I have a 25, which is too big, and the next size is a 22, which is too small. But a 15/16 wrench is pretty damn close, enough that you can get it off without damaging anything. So we'll go ahead and pull all these off. And be sure to inspect your O-rings around your caps to make sure they're not damaged. Alright, there's all 4 valve caps off. And this will also allow you to check which cycle you're on as far as turning your crank down there. Because on the compression side at top dead center, from what I read in my manual, you'll be able to move all these by hand freely. You can see these here are tight. So I believe, from what I understand, this is on the exhaust stroke at the moment. Alright guys, I ended up messing with this off camera just to be sure I knew what I was doing. But all you need is a 17mm socket on your crank bolt here. And you want to turn it counterclockwise. And it's easy with the spark plug out. You can take this thing and twist it one-handed. And what you want to look out for in there, I don't know if you can see it or not. My GoPro, I can't zoom in and out with from what I know of. But I believe there's some lines in there. I think one of them is an F. But what you are looking for is the T. It's a sideways T in there. I'm trying to get it so you guys can see it. You might be able to see it there. My screen's pretty small, but you want to line that T up with this little tick inside your engine cover there. And how you know it's on the compression side is all your valves are closed. Everything's up top. Your I forget what these are called, but they're up higher, so you can actually get enough room to have a feeler gauge in there. And if you take notice, all of these have just a little bit of play in them. You can wiggle them a little bit. So you know it's the top dead center on the compression stroke. If you were on the exhaust stroke, these here would be tight. And I believe they will be pushed down further, I think, if I'm correct. So this here would actually be pushed down further in the head. It would be, I don't think you'd even be able to get a feeler gauge down in there to check it. So that's how you know you're top dead center. Everything wiggles, everything moves. And what I was reading, or from what I was reading, it's pretty common, I guess, for your to pop these off, put it on top dead center, and one of these be stuck. And it's from the compression release, I think, or what it's called. I forget what it's called, but there's something in there that'll keep one of these stuck, and it's pretty common. It's no big deal. And they said the best thing to do is to put your ratchet back on here, whatever you're using, and just kind of wiggle it back and forth quick, and it should release it. So that should be it as far as getting everything set up. I will break the feeler gauges out. I'll double check my measurements as far as what the measurement needs to be, and then we'll go ahead and start adjusting these valves. Alright guys, I went ahead and did some messing around with these on the camera, but before I started I wanted to show you guys the valve clearances. Your intake is 0.10 millimeters, or 4 thousandths. I believe that's the correct way to say that. And then your exhaust is 0.12 millimeters, or 5 thousandths. And to get started, you got your, I call it a jam nut on top of your valve adjuster. There's technical names for all this, but I don't remember what they are. I just read through the manual and I already forget. But your intake side's a little more difficult because your rocker down on top of your again, I don't know what it's called, but it's a little further down in there to get a feeler gauge down in there. It's a little more difficult, but I gotta find the correct feeler gauge again. I got the exhaust side out at the moment. There's 4 thousandths. I brought the camera up a little higher and turned the brighter light on, but spin your jam nut off till it's pretty loose. And then what I was doing was taking your adjustment here, taking this down to it's tight, it don't move, and then backing it off until you can move the feeler gauge without touching it. Without touching the feeler gauge itself, but it moves freely in there. If I go too much tighter, there's too tight, you can't move it. And then backing it off ever so slightly until the feeler gauge starts to move. Just a little bit of resistance. And then hold your set screw there where you want it. Take your 10 millimeter. Take it down by hand and then go ahead and snug it up while holding your adjustment. And you want these pretty dang tight. I don't know what the proper spec is, but I just make them hand tight. Okay. And that is it. Now I could repeat this process for a recording the whole way through, but it's essentially the same thing, except this, your exhaust side is again 5/1000 and your intake is 4/1000. So that being said, that pretty much takes care of your valve adjustments. I got just a little bit of wiggle room. It still might be a little on the tighter side. I might loosen it up a hair, but that should be it. I'm gonna go ahead and throw a new spark plug in, and that'll wrap up this project. So, and as you can see, we went ahead and put the caps back on. We got these two caps back on. I figured before I went ahead and ended the video, I would show you guys as far as this new spark plug goes. It calls for the gap. Let me turn a little bit of light on here. It's probably too bright. There you go. It calls for the gap to be between 0.024 and 0.028. I don't know if you guys can see it or not because of the glare. You hook it in between the electrode and the little hook on the spark plug. And where I have mine set is right about 0.25, 0.26, which is right dead center of what it calls for. And then what I would recommend doing before putting it in, actually the manual calls for it as well, I do this with all my spark plugs, get a little shot of anti-seize, just a little bit, and rub on the threads, just to keep these from getting seized up down inside the motor. And then what I do as a little extra is I throw a little shot of Dilatia grease in the spark plug boot. And as far as installing the spark plug, that should be about it. As always, guys, thanks for watching. Like I said, I'm not the best at adjusting valves yet. This is my first time, but again, that being said, I hope you guys can watch this, pick up on something from it. If there's something wrong, please let me know in the comments. It's how I learn. And we'll catch you on the next one.